Let's welcome in our next guest from the real estate pack. Michael Holland, CEO at Embassy REITs, is now with us. So there are 4 or 5 things that essentially one has to talk about. So firstly is, because of the lockdowns, what is the impact on lease negotiations and what is the impact on demand for real estate? Can you just tell us both in perspective, and then we can take it ahead from there?
Well, good morning, and thanks for having me on your show. We were looking forward to a very swift return to work back in February, and I think we've all been taken aback at how quickly and how dramatic that change has been. So there were many conversations with tenants about A, getting back to work, and B, their future expansion. Those have clearly been put on hold. We've had a 180-degree turn on that. Until those tenants actually get back into the office after this wave, I don't think that we'll see any active new lease conversations, although we are seeing and continuing to see standard lease renewals going on, and some quite significant renewals. So I think we all look forward a couple of quarters to the point when we get back to business as usual, and then we'll see the growth in the demand, which is coming from these technology industries and these technology export industries. We feel confident about that.
Right. What about normal real estate requirement? I know that you don't particularly only cater to mainly towards offices and IT, but what is the sense that you get when you talk to your peers about real estate? Are people finding it tough to work from home? Do you think residential demand for decently big size house will go up?
So I think that whole work from home conversation, fascinating. We've all been debating it for 12 months. Certainly from an office perspective, I think the conclusion is clear that I've experienced it myself this morning. The physical and digital infrastructure challenges that come with work from home, but also these smaller residential units that we have. But most importantly, and I think this has been commented on worldwide by some of the most significant banking leaders in the world, people need the office for their place for career, for learning, for mentoring, for friendship. And businesses need that for innovation. And I think that is even more significant in India and in Asia than it would be in the West, given the younger demographic, the growing industries that we have here in India. So I think while 6 months ago we'd have said perhaps the jury's out, I think now the conclusion is clear. There will be some level of hybrid working, but the office will remain at the core of businesses. And yes, I think clearly people want more space in their home environment, particularly if you're living in a multi-generational household, as is usually or often the case here in India, and that's not the case in the West. So I think that may end up being a positive.
Right. Michael, hi there. Good morning. Will
Hello, good morning.
Rethink the dividend distribution policy going forward? Will there be a further requirement to raise any funds for expansion?
Yeah, I mean, the short answer to that is rethinking dividend distribution policy. Absolutely no. Last quarter we distributed, I think it was over 530 crores. We've distributed 3,700 crores since we listed over those 8 quarters. That's a 24% total return. There's absolutely no change to that policy. We've got a very strong balance sheet, 22% net debt to GAV. We've got plenty of cash and undrawn reserves, over 1,500 crores in the bank. And we've got plenty of debt headroom, I think over 12,000 crores before we hit the regulatory limit. So the answer is no, there's no change to our dividend distribution policy. We will continue with that, and we will also look at accretive ways to grow the business, which may involve acquisitions, which may involve taking on further debt.
And have there been many client renegotiations, and can you walk us through the outlook on that front? What was the impact of that?
again, our leases have a typical length of approximately 7 years. The companies that we cater to are almost universally doing extremely well, both domestically and globally, domestic companies, international companies. We've heard record hiring, we've heard about record order books from both domestic and international companies. So our occupiers are looking forward to the time that they can get back into the office and get back to full production. And in the meantime, we're doing everything we can to help them. We've rolled out a vaccination program for our frontline workers and theirs. So security, housekeeping, people in our parks and in our employers' parks. I think that 1,500 is going to go up to 2,000 next week. So it's really more constructive than just about lease negotiations, renegotiations. It's about looking forward as to how we can grow together over the coming years.
Right. So, if just somebody is looking to buy out a house or an office, not particularly to only rent it, what is the sense that you get with rates being as low as they are in India? I'm talking about interest rates, supply being as high as it is in probably all the segments and all the areas that one want at this point of time. You think it is one of the best times to, if somebody wants to use a house, there is a need of a house or an office space, one should go ahead and buy it out?
I think what's interesting, and we're very much and only an office-focused REIT, but a common thread that you'll see is the significant reductions that we've seen in the cost of debt for good covenant borrowers. So we started our listed journey with a bond that we financed at 9.4%. We've just done a Series 3 bond that I think we financed at 6.4%. So that reduced cost in debt really feeds through positively both to commercial businesses like ours, and clearly that has benefits for individuals who might be looking at personal loans or mortgages. And certainly at a global level, residential segment in many countries around the world is really very, very strong, somewhat on the back of those very low interest rates.
Right. Right. Just in terms of, when the demand is high, how important is the commodity prices? Cement prices have gone up in 6 months. All commodities are going up. Input costs definitely will rise. That will also be followed by a labor increase. How important is all of these factors?
I mean, that clearly is a factor in terms of the cost of production of my product, which is high quality office buildings. Clearly, that takes some time to feed through, a number of years, couple of years. But also a very significant component of the cost of production is the land. Now, we own all the land on our business parks. That's already valued into our business. So yes, it has an impact, and one would see rental increases as a result of that in due course, but it would be a small proportion of the overall cost. On the point about labor, I think one thing that you're definitely seeing is some slowdowns in construction, simply because the labor again has been perhaps locked out, gone back to natives. I think we're working at about 70% of our expected demand in terms of labor. That will accelerate that reduction in supply that we're seeing. There's about a 25% reduction in office supply over the next 2 years. And that, as well as the costs that you mentioned, has the potential to put upward pressure on rental levels.
Right, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for taking out time for us. Always good to get perspective from you.
Thank you very much.
We're taking a break, leaving you with markets looking as strong as they could be, looking in extremely strong as we start the day.